Welcome to this episode on becoming fully resourced to fulfill your mission. I'm so delighted that you're here. Thank you for being a part of Divine Transmission's extended community. And I'm really passionate about this subject that we're going to dive into today in this value-packed podcast. So as you're a part of the community here, what I know about you is that you are a difference maker. You are a dialed in consciousness, spiritual being who is high performing and has incarnated on the earth to assist, to lead, to contribute, to facilitate, to make a difference. And in order for us to really fulfill our mission, our divine mission, that reason that we incarnated for, that big vision that we have, our missions require resources. Now, when I'm using the word resource, the guides and I like to write it with a hyphen, like RE hyphen with a capital S, OURCE, to be resource, connected to source, connected to the divine, connected to our multidimensionality, yet also in the sense of resources. Your mission requires time. Your mission requires energy. Your mission requires support, individuals, relationships. Your mission requires money. Your mission requires resources on the physical plane. Now, of course, you are in your unique way making a difference. So maybe you're running a business like I do. I've been an entrepreneur for more than 25 plus years. Maybe you're making a difference in your community or as a parent. Maybe you are making a difference in mainstream or in corporate where you are expert in your field, or you're working at a university, or you're a part of human resources. Anyhow, whatever your unique version of your mission, your mission, in order to fulfill it, requires resources. And these resources are non-negotiable for a lot of reasons. Now, in this episode, we're going to dive into some of the illusion lies, as the guides say, or the missteps, or the traps that difference makers can fall into that actually slows down what it is that we're here to do, that actually creates bottlenecks in really fulfilling the highest expression of the mission. Now, one of the things the guides like to say, which just relaxes my whole system, is like, we're all on purpose. We're going to do what we're here to do. There's an inevitability to it. And we also sense, again, as high achieving, high performer beings who are on a mission, we really want to fully express. Like, for me, I know it's so important, and for our clients too, that when I choose to drop the body at the end of this incarnation, that I know what I came here to contribute. I've contributed. I've left it on the stage. I have sung my song. I've made the difference that I'm here to make. And for me, of course, it's leading the elevation, the evolution in consciousness, and really supporting difference makers, healers, coaches, practitioners, those that are here as well to evolve consciousness by your own personal elevation of your consciousness, to also create your legacy work, to make the difference together, because that's what really is going to give us that deep sense of fulfillment. So when we talk about fully resourced, I'm also talking about multidimensionally resourced, which I've already shared, rather than having success in just one area. So being fully resourced, again, is multidimensionally resourced, where you have impeccable self-care and energy, and that really the mission is humming and thrumming, like all wheels, all oars rowing in the same direction. And the old paradigm, we've really been conditioned in survival consciousness into like putting all of our eggs in one basket to create success in one area. And that actually is counterintuitive to fully realizing our mission. And it's amazing how the part of our nervous system that's connected to survival consciousness, which are protective mechanisms, what the guides call the slower BME filters, the body, the mind, emotion filters, can be connected to the old paradigm of survival consciousness and can sniff out in a second whenever the perceived cost of what more fulfillment of a mission or more success is perceived as coming along with that growth. So, for example, to be specific about this, and I've had this in my business, and I've seen lots of folks as well, that where you have, and we talk about this a lot in our Magdalene Wealth Codes program and also in the Magdalene manifestation cards, this trading one form of abundance for another. So money goes up and then time with loved ones go down, or there's incredible opportunities that come your way, and yet you're already so burnt out or overworked that there's no bandwidth to be able to receive exactly what you've been asking for. And so not only do our safety patterns, our protective mechanisms, our survival consciousness really sniff out like an upper limit or that sense of like it's going to cost us something, so do those that we're here to contribute to. And especially as consciousness continues to elevate and more individuals are leaning into the inner authority and sovereignty and intuition and really tuning into what's aligned and what's not. There's so much more transparency vibrationally about motivation and all the things that maybe used to be hidden or kind of on the lowdown. It's like clients can sniff it out if you're exhausted and you're showing up to your sessions with them. Your boss can feel it if there's like this competing commitment where you really need to be at home with your kid who's sick, and yet you're showing up for work because if you don't, you're going to get fired. Like, it's not only in your own system, if you're not fully resourced, that there'll be this kind of accidental repelling of resources that starts to happen. It also is all around you. And one of my visions, one of my missions, one of my, let's say, soapboxes that I can get on is I'm really passionate about, especially transformational practitioners and coaches and leaders, and really deeply heart-driven and spirit-driven individuals that want to make a difference, that we're not doing it on a shoestring anymore. We're not doing it on pinched off energy or the lone wolf have to do everything myself, that we're really overflowing. We're coming from surplus, because vibrationally and energetically, and that's also something that I really want to talk about today, there's some mission critical aspects that are not only related to like physical resources that you actualize on the physical plane, like the money and the team members and that are there supporting your mission, the time, the energy, yet also your field, your energy field. Because something that, some of the missteps that I see, or some of the illusion lies, or sometimes when I start working with clients who really know, like, okay, in order to fulfill my mission, I need to reach more individuals, for example. And yet there's a fear of visibility that's there. There's a fear of being seen. There's a fear of losing love or being kicked out of the community, or being ostracized, or being judged. And especially for those of us who have been on the path of consciousness for a while, that have highly refined nervous systems, that may be highly sensitive, it really can start to stack up where again, the system sniffs out that like, oh, well, if there's more individuals that are seeing me and really seeing the authentic me, then somehow it's perceived as unsafe. And, I've been on this path for a long time in all the different ways. And I know when I first started meditating or learning about connecting with guides or how to do like a guided journey, or even, some of the more advanced healing arts or alignment techniques where there's, which is really in my sweet spot, my divine genius of like, for example, offering long distance energy support, being able to read somebody's system without ever having met them, of course, in agreement with their free will and conscious choice. That a lot of the courses that I took like back in the day were all about like leaving your body and going into the light body and astral traveling, and pretty much hanging out up here. And the more that I was working with the guides and the more that I was just seeing like how important we're here to have a physical experience. We're here to demonstrate our connection to source on the physical plane. Personally, I think that's why we've incarnated, and we're not in a life experience where we're only a light being in light or only a love being in love. We're only a guardian angel. And I know we've had those times as well where we've chosen not to incarnate, yet we're incarnated. And so how is it that we can embody all of that higher wisdom? How is it that we can really amplify using our energy fields? Because the energy field is also naturally what is enveloping your system, so that you also have greater vibrational autonomy, as the guides talk about in the Tablets of Light book, that your system is humming and thrumming in your own signature energy, and you're not just receiving or welcoming in outside energy. And that's really where amplifying, from my perspective and what we're up to in divine transmissions, and from my years of experience personally, and also being a spiritual mentor and coach, where the guides really talk about our elevation in consciousness, our journey to evolve our consciousness, and how that relates to building our light and our love body as like mission critical in order to fulfill our mission. Because yes, we have all these tools that we can do. We can shift our energy in an instant. And yet that also takes a lot of management. It takes a lot of maintaining. And what I know to be true in my experience is that also when you reach a certain vibration that's embodied, not just a spiritual concept, then your system is naturally fortified energetically, and you zig, and whatever those projections overlays are, they zag. There's a greater resilience. There's a greater, like, you're just focused on your mission, and there's less time lost in the BME filters, the slower vibrational body, mind, emotions, so that you also don't lose days and years and months of your mission. And so I want to talk a little bit about our pathway, our journey, that the Ascended Master curriculum that's come forward in Divine Transmissions look like, so that you can kind of vibe into yourself, to see for yourself if you're feeling called to have more support in this. If you recognize that, yeah, you've done all the things, and yet there's just something that hasn't quite clicked in yet. And of course, there's so many ways to connect with us. I love having our books. I love the new Magdalene manifestation cards. And then we also have our two like core programs, the Divine Light Activation, and then the Magdalene Wealth Codes program. Of course, we've got other programs, and I really want to talk about these two because they're all about becoming fully resourced to fulfill your mission. Now, divine light activation is all about the vertical column, your light body, the elements of air and fire, the higher mind, your wisdom. As divine light activation came in originally, I was working especially really closely with Thoth, the Egyptian god of infinite knowledge, keeper of the Akashic records, scribe, architect, healer's healer, teacher's teacher. And there's so much about divine light activation that activates your divine light, that connects you to your most current mission, that connects you to also your unique ascended masteries. Now, I know for those of you that are seasoned in your mission, like as soon as I start talking about mission, a part of your brain can go like, oh, I've been on mission for so long, Danielle, like I'm doing it already. And I get it. I've been on mission like my whole life, and even in my career since like 17 years old. So I get the part of us that goes, I've been living on purpose. I've been living on mission. And yes, absolutely agree with that. That also is an indication that you may be like a perfect match to partner with us if what we're laying down is feeling like a perfect match for you. And yet at the same time, we're in this huge shift in consciousness. The energy when you started your mission on the earth is totally different than it is right now. And so divine light activation is especially for our difference makers, our clients, our practitioners, our healers, our coaches, our also those that are just really on a spiritual evolutionary path and recognize like you're in a transition. Maybe there's not total clarity on what your highest level mission is. Like you can do a lot. You're great at a lot. You have a lot of ways that you can contribute, just like me. Like I love all things entrepreneurial. I love geeking out on them. I'm very adept at all the things. And yet I know my biggest mission is to help individuals to embody their divine selves, to really express the mission that they came here for, and to be fully resourced and thriving in the process. And so, yeah, there's tons of stuff I can be doing. There's tons of stuff you can be doing, but it doesn't mean that it's really like dialed into your seat, your unique mission, and the current aspect of your mission. So a lot of times folks come to divine light activation when there's a recognition of like, oh, I'm ready for the most current version of my mission, or maybe you've fulfilled something like a great rite of passage or an evolutionary stage, or you've reached like a pinnacle of success or a mission or a creation. And there's that sense of like, what's next? There's that sense of like, okay, yeah, I've developed, and I remember this for myself, and the guides talk about this a lot as well, this developmental stage where we're ready to step into our divine genius or our ascended masteries. Like we've already got the goods, we've already got the skills, we're already helping in the ways that we do. Yet there's that shift from maybe like teaching somebody else's body of work to bringing in your own body of work, to even assimilating different modalities that you have that really create something that's unique to you. And when we talk about fulfilling your mission for the Great Awakening, for unity consciousness, for the Aquarian age, for the new earth, however you want to talk about it, it's not going to be with the old tools, most likely, that's going to make the biggest difference. Our partners, our clients in Divine Transmissions are here to innovate, here to pioneer, are here to add to your areas of expertise, to add to your industries, to take things into new areas. And that requires frequencies and vibrations that haven't existed on the Earth star thus far. And I know for me, and I've seen with a lot of folks that have done divine light activation, is that there is just this like hookup with your higher wisdom in a way that's more embodied. There's a turning on of those ascended masteries, and there's a whole like oodles of old ways of being that get turned off, because with every activation, as you're turning something on, you turn something off. And so divine light activation is really about remembering the ascended masteries that you already have. And I've been hearing that so much with our divine light activation clients, that it's like, oh, it's not that in that program necessarily, although sometimes the guides will give really specific, like, hey, you haven't thought about bringing together this and this that you've developed all the years into something new. Yet often it's more like you've already have something and then it just comes online. It feels like, oh my gosh, my whole life has been, or lifetimes have been leading up to this. And you just remember what it is that you already have. And often what starts to happen from DLA again is that there's greater leadership, there's greater, because you turn on multi dimensions of your system. There's a greater connection to source, a confidence. The light is connected to wisdom, and the light is connected to also, you could say, the masculine energy or active energy, yet in a way that's really embodied and grounded. So in divine light activation, and it's not that divine light activation is the only way to fulfill your divine light mission. And yet, as a part of our suite of offerings, as a part of what we're up to in divine transmissions, it's like a very highly effective and efficient way to shift from hanging back to showing up fully, to go from kind of like damping down your voice to speaking your truth, and really being seen for who it is that we are. And and that may be like coming out of the spiritual closet, like those of you who maybe you've already got it rocking on the physical plane, you've got a lot of success, yet you've been downplaying your woo side. You may be coming out of the spiritual closet. Or I also see, and was my experience as well, of like coming out of the ambitious closet. Like it was taboo in the healing space for years to be like, hey, I'm highly ambitious. And I remember like getting flack for inviting people to work with me, like just saying, hey, here's what I got, you want to work with me? It's like, you can't market, or even charging really the investment of what transformation is really about. Like, so there just may be some part where there's an inner conflict or a transition or a recognition of like, okay, it's time to go back into the plinth of Ma'at and to like the interlife, the limbo space, and download the next level individuals, opportunities, experiences, ascended masteries. And so that's kind of the path of DLA, and you can start really where you're feeling called. So you can start with divine light activation, or you can start with Magdalene Wealth Codes. And you can find out more on daniellehoffman.com/programs. And we do have some descriptions of DLA, divine light activation, and Magdalene Wealth Codes, as well as some questions that can kind of just help clarify for you and for us. And we're happy to explore together, like what's a perfect match for you if you're feeling called to go more deeply. So that's the fully realizing your mission. And then the becoming resource is and manifesting, actualizing, physicalizing the resources is really what we're up to in Magdalene Wealth Codes. And that in terms of DLA is your light body, and then you have your love body, which is your horizontal column. It can be related to being states of consciousness, the non-physical energy, your heart center, opening your bandwidth, the elements of earth and water. And that really you, as an evolutionary stage in consciousness, your capacity to create on the physical plane, to actualize, to manifest the resources that matter most to you, that are supporting your mission. It's a skill set. It demonstrates also your connection to the higher planes, what it is that you know in these higher spiritual concepts and wisdom of divine light activation in a way that's embodiment. If you look at the larger evolution in consciousness that we're talking about, like, how do you become your divine self? How do you become your embodied divine self? And again, like, some folks kind of go top down in your energy field, where you have this higher wisdom and other lifetimes, and then there's got to be this alignment with your beautiful, big, beautiful brain, your mind of the BMEs, the mental body that's really humming and thrumming in higher consciousness wisdom. And then as your love and light being continue to become embodied, your divine self continues to be embodied. If the heart is closed, game over. Like, it's not going to physicalize. The heart has to be open. The heart's one of the most receptive areas in your system to be actualizing resources. And so in Magdalene Wealth Codes, it's really about becoming masterful at co-creating the resources that you and your mission desire, that you require from wholeness, without the burnout, without overdoing, without settling for less or trading one form of abundance for another. And, you know, what I often see with Magdalene Wealth Codes as well is that there's just this, like, maybe sovereignty is the word, or this self-love, this impeccable self-care, where it's easier to know what's yours to do and be and have. There's like this greater clarity. And that also comes from having your light and your love body, the sacred union of the feminine and the masculine coming into wholeness and greater embodiment, so that the wisdom that's up here is embodied in the heart, in the E of the BMEs, the body, the mind, emotions. Now, for those that choose to go deeper with us, perhaps in creating your legacy work, your unique modality, your book, your card deck, or also in Sahu, our year-long program, that's all about the P, the physical. Of course, the Magdalene Wealth Codes, also all of it's about creating in the physical plane, because what we're up to is applied spirituality, that it's applicable, that it's contributing to your daily life in ways that you can see and feel and know. And so in Sahu, there really is the sacred union of the cross, or the Ankh, of the light and the love body just coming together, and that your environments are really on the physical plane attuned to a higher frequency. So that's also where you lift up the physical plane to be moving into a higher vibration of your light and your love body. So as we're wrapping up here, because I know this is a huge download, and I'm talking a lot about our programs, because I know as well that if you're here, you're also feeling like, oh, maybe there's something there. Perhaps you're sensing that working with the guides and I in this curriculum that the Ascended Masters have downloaded with such impeccable care is a next natural step. And to recognize that what's different about the programs that we offer, and to recognize as well why they work so well. So if we just kind of wrap up with how we started, which is the shift from going from one area of success or one resource to becoming multidimensional. When you have your light body turned on, it's like you're taller, you're occupying more space, you're vibrationally autonomous. There's a confidence. Your field is receptive, yet it's your signature energy. Your personal energy is for you, period. And then your heart, as your heart and your love body is opened, and you're in that seat of being like a master manifestor, ascended master, and really fulfilled by your really resourced by resources that are supporting you to fulfill your mission. You also occupy much more horizontal space. So when we go back to the highly sensitive empath who's here to make a big difference, yet may have been stuck in overgiving or people pleasing or overthinking or feeling overwhelmed by others in energy, this just creates such an incredible energy field where you're being the difference. Just simply by somebody being in your presence, you're fulfilling your mission. Yes, do all the things, give all the things, express your mission in the way that's light for you. Yet there's such a up-leveling of consciousness that happens from your presence. And there is this, the guides don't talk about safety and protection from the sense of like, again, back in the day, when I first learned about energy and energy healing and energy mastery, there was a lot about like protection and asking for permission. And I just have such a different perspective on that, because I just know that there's no assertion in the universe to some level, where this is a whole other can of worms I'm opening up as I'm wrapping up here. But it's important to kind of say that at the same time, although I don't feel like we need to like do all this stuff to manage our energy so that we're clear from those projections and overlays and separations and survival consciousness, which definitely exist. However, what we can do is amplify our natural resources. And one of the most untapped natural resources that we have is our energy bodies, our love and our light body, our abundance bodies, the spiritual plane of our highest level divine mind and divine emotions and divine physical body. And then that becomes like this natural buffer. It's like if you have a house, you may have a fence around your house, and that fence keeps out, depending on where you live. Where I live, wild boars, or it keeps out foxes, or maybe it keeps out those that you don't want to have in your inner space. That's the same thing with your aura, with your light body, your love body. And it's so mission critical. It's so mission critical for us to be showing up fully as who we are in our full potency to make the difference that we're here to make. Now, if you're feeling called to explore Magdalene Wealth Codes, we're starting another round soon. So I invite you to head over to daniellehoffman.com/programs and just kind of vibe in. Is DLA feeling like the next step to explore? Is Magdalene Wealth Codes? Do you sense like your mission really needs more resources? Do you sense that that there needs to be a more alignment in your wisdom and your light body so that it's more embodied? And then we can explore together what might be aligned. And the super cool thing as well is that we also have on the altar the possibility to activate the first divine light activation of the visionary heart in our master classes, and the first Magdalene Code of Love. And so you can also experience in those master classes like what the first one would be like. So really cheering you on to becoming fully resourced to fulfill your mission, and sending you so much love and appreciation for your presence, for the contribution that you are making on the planet. And just really feeling all the value and wisdom and energy that's been packed into this particular podcast. So inviting you to not only be in touch and hop over to our website, yet also just take a few moments. What's your biggest gem? What's your biggest aha? What are you taking away from this time? Like what really has landed for you? And for me, just the time of us being in that place of all the overs, shifting from overworking, overthinking, overgiving, being the best kept secret, fear of visibility, hiding parts of yourself, to being full resourced is mission critical. And amplifying your natural energy resource of your light and your love body and aligning them into sacred union is just mission critical and a phenomenal and often overlooked step. All right. Sending much love. Bye for now.